What is up, guys? Anime Logician here, and I am back. So, it's been about 6 or 8 months since my last upload, and that's because I had to figure some things out. Therefore, I had to take a step back away from YouTube and get my head straight and figure things out from there. So, I understood my last video did poorly because of some issues with YouTube and copyright strikes and whatnot. I had to look into that, and I had to figure out what I was going to do from here on out, because I don't want to get hit with 3 strikes and then have my channel, banned or whatever. The thing I was doing for the past 6 or 8 months was I had to reinvent myself, figure out what I was going to do and how I was going to do it. And here's the thing. Number one, I have basically made new content. It's content that's on brand. It's my brand. It's originally my own ideas. The thing that bothered me the most was, yes, there was burnout. Yes, there was the issues with YouTube, but there was the fact that I was uncomfortable with doing something that wasn't originally mine nor my own idea. So when I got into YouTube, I was kind of naive, thinking that, oh, maybe if I just did this type of content and, it's recently popular, maybe people will watch my channel and, maybe they'd enjoy it. The thing is, some people did enjoy it, but again, is it really something I want to keep doing without having any, of my own originality or my own spin on it? The answer for that for me would be not really. One thing is, aside from originality, the tier lists were mentally exhausting. They were burning me out. My issue was, and one of my friends did tell me this, but I just brushed it off because I didn't actually assume it was going to affect me in any way, shape, or form. But at each season of anime, I was watching 15 plus titles, so anywhere from 15 to 20 anime titles, right? Each year we have 4 seasons. Now then, do the math. What's 15 times 4 or 20 times 4? Essentially, I'm watching 60 to 80 anime titles a year, and that is mentally exhausting. Some people assumed I was crazy for doing that, because imagine all the hours you'd have to put into from just finishing anime, going on to the next thing, and not having anything else to do. And they were halfway right. The thing is, I had so much anime on my plate that I couldn't finish all of it, which would lead me to not being able to watch all 20 anime titles, which means I'd have to watch anything anywhere from 15 to 20. It was so much anime that I had no time to do anything else, and that was an issue. Sometimes when I got home from work, I was exhausted to the point where I was just watching anime and I would pass out afterwards. Or it got to a point where I just couldn't keep up and I was mentally drained. My thing is, I still would like to do tier list, but not to the point where I'm basically draining myself of any mental energy. I'd rather do at least 8 anime titles or 10 at most. Anything past that, and I'm just I'm done. I'm exhausted. I don't want to do this anymore. So from here on out, I'm not going to be watching as much anime as I did, because again, it was mentally draining and I couldn't keep up with everything in life. Honestly, I wish I could make YouTube my full-time gig, because that means I wouldn't have to be working 10 plus hours a day, 60 plus hours a week, and then just not having the energy to do much else. It's kind of funny too, because I think my father tells me, what do you do in your spare time, or is it that you don't do anything at all? And I'm like, oh, I wish that were the case. You have no idea. We work the same job. The only difference is you've moved up the ladder to where you're not working the same job I'm doing. You're doing managing work, which is a lot less exhausting than what I'm doing, right? So it's people don't understand when you're working a lot and then you have a hobby or a passion you want to work with, and it's just, you kind of feel tired. The next thing is, with the new content, I've created 4 pillars of content. So 4 types of content essentially is what I'm talking about. Uh, with my next few videos, I'm gonna, test some things, put some things to put into perspective, and I'm gonna upload 2 types of content, 2 kinds of videos. And the first video is going to be on psychology, basically a deep dive of certain anime characters. This one anime character in particular is from Tokyo Ghoul. He's the main character, Kaneki, and honestly, he seems like a very interesting character. I did watch Tokyo Ghoul back then, and I actually do own seasons 1, 2, and 3 in my anime collection. And my personal opinion on the anime itself was season 1 was great. I would even say it was close to being amazing. But then they dropped the ball in season 2, which ended up kind of being like a 7 out of 10. And then season 3, some things just didn't really pull through or make much sense, and I gave it like a 6 out of 10. Not saying it's a bad anime at all. It's just that it went from being like a great anime to being kind of mid. But that's a different story for another time. The other type of content I'm going to be doing aside from psychological deep dives is battle videos. So basically making arguments and debates on which anime character is stronger and who could beat who in a fight. Kind of like the whole thing with the Espada or the Akatsuki. People have always asked who was stronger between Orochimaru, Pain, or Itachi, or even Obito, for example. And then there's with the Espada, people always make the argument with who's stronger between Stark, Baragon, Yami, and Ulquiorra. The thing is, a lot of people assume that Baragon's aging ability is overpowered, and yes, it is. I believe it was the same thing that kind of ended his own life in a way, which is why I think it's a two-sided sword, kind of like Gremmy Thalmu's power. But the thing is, it's very slow, and I'd assume that it could hit Yami because he's slow and big, but to hit Stark or Ulquiorra from a far distance, I don't think that would actually work. As where Yami can basically shoot balas from his hands, basically giant meteor-sized Ceros. It also comes into conclusion where how did each of the Espada die between those 4? Baragon essentially died to Soifan, who is the assassin captain of the 13 court guard squads. And it kind of makes sense, really. Baragon's slow, Soifan is this fast assassin, so it makes sense. Yami, I believe, died to Byakuya and Kenpachi. Everyone knows that Kenpachi is really strong. I think he's the only captain that had a chance against beating Gremmy Thalmu. And then there's Byakuya. Byakuya was just there to support and help Yami. Or Kenpachi defeat Yami. He wasn't really the main like captain, because in a world between Byakuya and Yami, I don't think Byakuya could beat Yami in any sense of the way. And then that kind of leaves us to Stark and then Ulquiorra. Stark was beaten by Chinsui, which I believe is the strongest captain and is the one who replaces Old Man Genryusai. I mean, it makes sense. The number 1 Espada versus the number 1 captain. But then we have to look into the perspective of Yami going from the 10th Espada to the 0 Espada, meaning he was more powerful than both Stark and Baragon. And then it comes into the question, is Shinsui stronger than both Byakuya and Kenpachi, and could he actually take them on? And then there's the fact that Ulquiorra went from being number 4 to not even being marked at all. It comes into the conclusion of, Full Hollow Ichigo, could he actually solo any of the captains from the 13 court guard squads? It makes you think and it makes you wonder. That's the kind of content I want to do. I want to make battle debates. I want to see which character could defeat who. And then there's the thing, a lot of people could assume that, you know, in the big three shonen, people assume that Goku can beat Ichigo, Ichigo can beat Luffy, Luffy can beat Naruto, and Naruto can beat Ichigo. And it's like, who can actually defeat who? Do we have the statistics? Do we have the data? Do we have the information, the facts? What do we know? Who is stronger? Is it just all opinions, or is it just, do we have actual facts? So, for the meantime, within these next 4 months, I'm going to be uploading a lot of psychological deep dives into anime characters, and as well as battle videos. I have other types of content on the way, 2 types actually, but those are for later on within the year, maybe around August or October, who knows. But in the meantime, I just need to focus on making content, being more consistent, and uploading. So, of course, I'm gonna do my new content, and I'm gonna throw in the tier list. But the tier list won't be as long. The tier list will be at only 8 to 10 anime titles compared to the 15, 20 anime title ones I did in the past. And that is because I don't want mental burnout. In retrospect, I only stepped away from YouTube, not because I was quitting, but I needed to figure myself out. I needed to find my brand content. I needed to stop doing what I was doing with the tier list and basically being mentally exhausted. And of course, I had to correct myself with the 8 to 12 things I was doing wrong with YouTube. I had to learn the business side of things, and then the some of the more creative stuff with YouTube. There's also the fact that I edit as well. My editing isn't bad, but it definitely needs some slight improvements, some slight tweaks here and there. And there are some things I need to download and then use with my YouTube and the rest of my repertoire as well. My understanding of YouTube is pretty much the same as my coding skills or my skills with music. Everything needs structure. Everything has a time and place. If your music sucks, then your programming is gonna suck as well. And this is coming from the idea that, let's say if you don't structure your music well, or if you hit a wrong note, or if you hit a bunch of wrong notes and everything sounds like crap in the mix, then I'm just going to assume that your programming looks ugly, like it's not clean slated, it doesn't look nice, it's not prepped well, or there's some bugs in your code, and it's going to take you at least 2 to 3 hours to figure out what bug is in your code. Or it could be like YouTube. Let's say you make content, you make crappy editing, you do something that isn't good in your videos, or your content is just average at best. It all takes time and place. We're taking this baby steps because I don't want to put everything on a stack and then just have the stack fall over from mental exhaustion or stress. But yeah, with that being said, I hope you guys understand. And for those of you who have stayed subbed to my YouTube channel and are still around, I thank you. And I do apologize for me taking some time off away from YouTube. And for those of you that understand, I again appreciate it. Thank you, and have a great day. Peace.